Hello. One viewer. I don't know who it is though. It could be anyone. Well, we'll give it a few more minutes, see if anyone else shows up. And, then we'll get to it. What you buzzing about, love?
I'm popular. I got invited to dinner.
By whom?
My lady friend,
What lady friend?
Jessie.
What dinner?
She's making a holiday dinner. She said she was too
Tonight?
tired. Yeah.
I'm not invited.
Do you want to come?
I'm not invited.
She did not invite you.
I'm hurt.
You weren't not invited though. If you showed up, I'm sure she would
Aha.
feed you. You would not be happy about what
I
is
wasn't
being
not
fed.
invited. I wasn't not invited. Another 30 seconds or so. We'll get started regardless of how many people are on here. Still don't know who this one person is. It could very well just be registering myself. But it started as 0. It took a couple minutes to register to 1, so I don't know. What's Chris doing in this photo? Why is he hyperbloid?
He's at the Museum of Math.
Uh-huh.
I was not invited.
Uh-huh, yeah, yeah.
I'm very upset about it.
Okay, but what's happening in this?
I don't know. Ask him. I'm not exactly sure.
Because I'm confused by it.
Ask him. I'm not sure. I don't know the details of that exhibit at the Museum of Math.
You're no help.
Because no one will take me there. Although I asked you if you wanted to go to New York for your birthday and you said no.
True that. True that.
Because we would have went there.
Would we have?
Yeah, we would have.
For my birthday, we would have gone to the math museum.
I would have taken you to other things, but hell, you could have went to go get yourself a prostitute, and I would have gone by myself. You could have been in a strip club in New York with those high, classy strippers, and I would have been at the Museum of Math, just peachy keen.
Peachy keen, I hear you
Yep.
say. Peachy keen.
This is dumb.
Well, we're coming up on 10 minutes. Aw, Paul says I look so pretty. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
I don't know if you heard that, but A-Dog says hello as well. I don't look pretty. This shirt makes my boobies look big. Probably just because I got big boobies. Your audio is gimpy. I don't think that's my fault. It could be, but I don't think it is. Oh, A-Dog, look us up and see if you can hear us pretty well. Thank you. Paul says I have massive jugs. That's very kind of you to say. Well, it's 10 minutes in. Paul, you are the only one here. So congratulations on that. Usually it takes about like 20 minutes for people to actually get on here. Some days it's super quick, and some days it takes, average would be about 15 to 20 minutes for people to actually get on here. But so today I figured we have Reaper's Siege coming up next weekend. So not the weekend coming up, but the one after that. That's the 18th, is that right? Yeah, you do, unfortunately. Unless you were here. If you were here, you could just be on the video with me. But yes, you have to type. But yes, the 18th, it's at Pittsburgh Paintball Park, or P3. And so I'll be going. I have nothing else going on. I wanted to make sure. And so I'm going. A-Dog, are you going?
I was asked to be a troop leader.
A Squad leader?
A squad leader, that's it.
But that doesn't answer the question, does it?
It sounds fun, by the way. I guess I'm going. I told Paul that I would.
Ah, she says, I guess I'm going.
I don't like P3. I don't like P3 at all, actually.
You can turn that off now. And Paul says, troop leader, question mark, are you bringing cookies?
I might.
I hope
Depends.
she does, because I happen to thoroughly enjoy cookies. And Paul, if you want to come here, you are more than welcome to join us on the video.
Is this Paul, like Ginger Paul, or is this another Paul?
This is Ginger Paul.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
It's
no.
your favorite
I
bearded
love
Paul.
Ginger Paul.
It's your favorite bearded man. Actually, I don't know if that's true. He may be your favorite ginger bearded man, but I don't know.
He's definitely my favorite red bearded man.
I'm going to tell Doug you said that.
Doug does not have a beard.
He's scruffy. Doesn't that count?
No, it doesn't.
Ah.
It doesn't at all. The beard and the scruff are two different.
Hey, another person. Hello, other person. Well, if you come on over. You're welcome to be here. No one else. We only have one other person on so far right now, anyway. So, whatever you want to do.
Oh, I just keep working.
And I think that actually the other person is A-Dog.
No, I left.
I know, but it takes a minute to register that you're here.
Maybe I didn't leave.
And then it takes a minute to register that you've left. So.
No, I think I'm still in.
Loki, you are pain. Ugh. There you go. So Paul's going to come over and join us. He's going to be one of the generals at this scenario. He has asked A-Dog to be a squad leader or a troop leader and bring cookies. I wasn't asked because I'm not important enough, I guess.
Take that up with Paul.
He's on here. He can hear what I'm saying. I got no secrets. But yeah, so it's at P3, and Reaper is going to be there, oddly enough, according to the name. Let's see if I can find a picture of Reaper.
Is he hot?
I don't know what he actually looks like.
I'll be a squad leader if he's hot.
And if he's not hot?
Then, we'll figure it out from there. I've noticed that.
What have you noticed?
Never mind.
Tell me what you've noticed.
I don't want to take anyone away from your channel, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
All one person watching?
Yeah. That doesn't mean they don't come back and watch it again.
Okay. Oops, that's not one. There we go. Okay. So that's Reaper, for anyone who doesn't know. I guess he's a fairly famous guy. He always wears that mask. He always has his kilt, and he tends to run with 2 pistols. I've actually personally never seen any of his own videos or anything like that. I've seen him featured in other things, other people's videos. And from anything that I've seen him in, I would say he's much more of a character / general. He may be an extremely good player. I don't know. I just haven't seen it in any of the things I've seen him in. It may be that he used to be a very good player and now he's older, and so now he just commands and all that. I don't really know the story. If anyone else does know, or Reaper, hey, if you want to join in on this and tell us, please do. Yes, Loki, can I help you? Go get it. But yeah, so he'll be there, and I think that they're hoping that'll bring some people in. Um, and hopefully it does for them, I guess. I always like to see local paintball fields do well. Even if I'm not the hugest fans of them, I don't have necessarily a problem with P3. I don't typically go there, but that's because we have memberships to Three Rivers. It's not anything against P3 necessarily for me. It's just Three Rivers is our home field. We've only played there, what, 3 times? P3?
I've only played there twice, including a tournament.
Wasn't there 3? So we went for random play once, and then we had the 5-man. But I thought there was another day that we went.
There might have been 3. 'Cause I remember playing Castle.
It's either 2 or 3. It's either 2 or 3.
It has nothing to do. I don't hate their field. I don't like the structure of it. That's not my type of gameplay, and that's why I don't like it. It has nothing to do with.
What do you mean the structure? Explain what you mean by that.
So it's just big woods, and like you really have no idea what field is what field, and you can hide under brush and then walk along a path, and boom, there's somebody that could shoot you.
That's true.
I don't like
You've got a
that.
good point there.
I do like their castle. I think that's pretty fun.
Let's see if I can find
we
a
only
map
really
here.
played on 2 fields, so we only played on Vietnam and Castle. But if you like that play and you like speedball and you like hyperball, it's not a bad field by any means. I don't want to say anything negative about it. We only played on Vietnam and Castle.
But we got a tour of all of the fields.
Yes, we walked around with one of the command bros, and the fact that you don't really know what field you're actually on because they're so close together, and there's a lot of brush, confuses me.
Well, it won't. It doesn't really matter once.
So I guess there's technically only 2 woods ball fields. We never played
No, this
on,
is an old map. They've split it up more since then.
We never played on the jungle.
But they've split up more. They've made more since we were last there. But for this type of scenario, it doesn't really matter how split or not split the fields are, because it's all one scenario anyway.
Indeed.
So that doesn't much matter. But anyway, yeah, so we've been there 2 or 3 times. One was for the 5-man tournament that we did last year, which I should have recorded, but I didn't, so whatever.
We've been there 3 times, because I remember playing on Vietnam twice because of the one time you hurt yourself.
I did. I fell on my knee and it hurt. That's pretty much how it went. I fell on my knee and it hurt. I guess the problem or the downfall. Here we go. Here's a picture I can use. The one of the big downfalls that they have. Loki, you gotta stop. You gotta get a quieter toy. You're too loud. One of the big downfalls that they have is that it used to be a dump, like an actual trash dump. People dump trash there. I'm not trying to say that it's dirty. It was literally a trash dump. So they've cleaned it up tremendously. Like, they've done a great job of cleaning it. That being said, it was still a trash dump. So there's, every once in a while you'll find a broken piece of glass or a piece of metal or a big piece of wood or something. Things that could really hurt somebody, And I really don't like that. Now, where I fell, when I fell, I didn't actually fall on something. I think I tripped over. It could have been a root. It could have been a piece of wood. I'm not sure exactly, but it was brown and in the ground. But I landed on just some really, really hard dirt. And it really screwed up my knee for the next couple of weeks, I guess. But yeah, they've done a really good job of cleaning stuff up. And as you can see now, Loki, please get a quieter toy. Quieter toy. Here, chew this. No, no, no. Quieter toy. But yeah, they have Compound, Black Forest, Jungle, Ultimate Woods Ball, and Vietnam. And then they have the NXL field. So I don't know what all the game will be on. I assume all of the fields except the NXL field. That's closer in towards the staging area. It's a little separated from the rest. So probably not that field, but the rest of them we plan on. Paul may know more about that once he gets here. But yeah, she's right as far as they're all interconnected. It's really hard to tell where one field ends and the other one begins, which for a field or for a game like this really shouldn't matter in the slightest because you use the whole field anyway. I mean, when we go to our scenarios at Three Rivers, they drop all the barriers, and again, you can't tell the difference between one and the other.
Yeah, I just don't like being in a lot of foliage.
Is that what it is? You don't like foliage?
Maybe.
She likes structures more than she likes woods. I tend to actually prefer trees to actual bunkers. For my play style, that's not always true, but quite often it is because I prefer standing. I feel I can move faster that way. That being said, another thing that me personally I don't tend to like about P3, or is a downfall for P3 for me, is that the foliage they do have, very little of it is actual trees. Most of it's kind of like a bush type, like rhododendrons maybe? Do you think that's what it is? The plants they have there? They have some trees, definitely. They have bushes and trees. But a lot of it seems like a rhododendron type plant. Whether or not it's actually rhododendrons, I don't know. But so that for some people that's great. You know, if you're a sniper type player, you're the person that gets down and dirty and crawls through things and sneaks up around behind people. That's perfect. And I'm not saying anything bad about it. That's just not necessarily my play style. I don't have a problem with it by any means. The one field, the Compound military base, that's a pretty cool field. The one side of it is called the castle. It's honestly like a main tower in the middle, and then just kind of a building-ish thing that you can get in. And then the other side is open, and you have to. Most of the time, they do like attack the castle, attack and defend there. So that'll be an interesting part of the play. And I mean, it should be a good game. The interesting thing for me, again, neither good nor bad. It's just interesting is that this will be the first scenario they've had since the Command Bros left there.
Haven't all their scenarios been Command Bro?
What? You got a dog behind you, so don't push up too far. Yeah, all of the scenarios they've had in the past there, or at least the ones I know of, were all Command Bro Wars. This will be obviously not Command Bro Wars. Not even related because they're not there anymore. They've moved down to Urban Assault. So that could be very good. It could be very bad. I don't know. I mean, they've run several scenarios at this point, at least 3 that I know of, at least. So this will be at least their 4th. So they have some experience with them, but it won't be the same dynamic by any means. We're playing on Paul's team.
Right. Is he the good guys?
He is. I don't know what team he is. So Clark finally joined us and he asked what team we're on. And I think he's the good guys. Let's see.
Is Paul coming here? So I'm gonna tell Jesse that.
No. Paul is the bad guys.
Okay.
Crime lords known as Whiskey Squad, a powerful crime organization that specializes in all skills of the trade. Whiskey Squad has infiltrated and exploited the city's police, judges, and other political figures. The streets are filled with violence and chaos. Their numbers are growing every day as new members are continuously growing. The constant war for turf has confined people to their homes with fear. The Still City task force is failing and losing ground every day. New intel has been received and it suggests that Whiskey Squad is seeking to gain control over the Three Rivers shipping ports. Ooh. So, we'll be the bad guys.
I like it.
The name of the team...
Have we played with the other guy? I feel like I know him.
Anthony Antonich.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very familiar name to me. I don't know what the name of the team is. I don't know. Crime Lords. Crime Lords. That's all I know.
Didn't they just post a poll?
They did. They are trying to get people, I guess, at Hoffer House the night before. I was like, nah, thanks, though.
Have you been to the real Hofbräu?
That's true. That's a good statement. You don't want what? Oops, that's not right. Hey, Paul's here.
I can hear him.
Oh, here's the name. Crime Lords. It is not, but, you know, he knocks. I'm confused by the price it's giving me here. So Paul's here, everybody. Paul's here. He's going to explain a little bit about the game. Not that Loki apparently is... I guess he's too excited. He's very excited. Hey, Alex.
I also have whiskey if you want to put it in the Pepsi.
No, just the caffeine. I'm destroyed right now. I have not been able to sleep all week.
Loki! Loki! Hold on, everyone. Please excuse me for a second. Hey, Paul.
Hello.
Here, have a seat. Talk to people. I gotta yell at the dog.
I put him in his
He's already in trouble.
Yeah, he's already in trouble. I got him.
Okay.
Oh, so you guys see the banners like that?
Yeah.
Didn't know how you saw it on your end.
I can actually do a couple of different ways. Like, I could edit over here
Yeah?
and then transition it over there if I wanted to. But
That's cool.
sometimes I do that, but usually not. Usually I just add it. Okay, so have a seat. So Paul's here, everybody. Let me get rid of some of these pictures here so we can actually see what's going on. Let's get that out of here. Let's move that over there. Let's get that one out of here. Let's move that one up there. And put that one above your head. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so the first thing we talked about that I wasn't sure about is Reaper. I don't know much about him. Do you know anything about him?
Yeah, he's a bigger name out there. A lot of people know him. I mean, my interpretation, because I don't know the guy. So no offense to anybody that's a big fan of his. No offense to Reaper as well. I just know He's a bit of a celebrity of sorts. I wouldn't know the caliber or anything like that. Nice guy. I've had the pleasure of talking to him live once, and then also when we were doing business dealings online. He's a good business guy. So I mean, there you go. From what I understand, he goes from game to game and shows up for events and plays as a special character, or I think in some cases leads in some of the games. And that's pretty much all I know on it. Outside of everything in the pictures, about as much else as I know. So, but I do know that in this game he is not a general. He is actually a free agent. I'm not sure about the specifics. All I know is he's a free agent. Lots of people will get to meet him. I think he's doing photo ops with people, and I think even doing a little bit of like a meet and greet with some other people as well. So there's a lot to be entailed with that.
That's basically what I said as far as I knew. He could be a very good player, but anything I've seen him in, I haven't really seen him play.
Yeah. I do know that he hands out death cards.
Okay.
So I guess if he gets you, you get a death card.
Okay, so maybe I should try shooting him then just to get something.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Yeah, I actually talked to another player out there from Command Bros, Energy, and actually he had the luxury of getting one of those death cards. So that's how I even know about that, because he's talking to me about the ones that I issue.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so that's pretty much what we know as far as that goes.
Okay, and he's a free agent, so you're generaling the one, and then Fenrir's generaling the other team?
Correct. And in previous engagements, we have always worked with the Road Patriots, and this will be our first time going head-to-head with them.
So I know I've met him, but I wouldn't be able to pick him out of a crowd, that's for sure.
I think that's by design. Yeah, he does take a little bit of an unassuming presence when it comes to off-field interactions or anything like that. So I've seen many people, including myself, well, who's the commanding officer? And he tends to ignore you for the first few seconds. So, yeah.
He doesn't want you to know.
Right. But, yeah, he's a good guy. I like him.
Okay. Well, he'll be our enemy, though.
He will.
Kill him.
So it will be interesting. It'll give me a chance to test my mettle against somebody that's got a lot more of a strategic background. So, and since I look at like a large chess game to begin with, and it'll be something to contend with.
No, I was saying that this will be their first scenario since the Command Bros have left, so or were kicked out or whatever happened. I don't know what happened there, but
yeah, I don't know the details on it as well.
The only ones I know of that they've done there, while they've done a bunch of them, have all been Command Bro Wars.
Yes.
So this will be completely different for them. So do you think that it's going to be... What do you think the chances are it's going to be great, or the chances are it's going to be just a big flop because, hey, get down, because it's brand new to them and they're not going to be able to handle it? Yeah. Shoot. Answer the question. Go ahead. Come here.
This would be the first time I've ever dealt with P3 under the new management, so I can't say one thing or the other. I do know that when I was discussing with the Command Bros when they were there, their games were designed for a little bit more of an introductory for people that aren't familiar with scenario games, so they can get a feel for how scenario games work, so they can get that appetite for going into bigger games and get a little bit more exposure of strategy and the complexity of the larger games. So I know that they're familiar with that kind of model. However, it's not P3 that's actually designing the game. They actually brought in another person. I believe she's from West Virginia chapter of SAS. So she's actually got the scenario put together on it. And so, and I've gotten very little information on it as well. In fact, tonight I was going to ask them for some information because I know we're only a week and a half out and I need to get some of my stuff on my end taken care of. So, yeah, so it's a lot of in the dark, and actually, in a lot of ways, a lot of event holders do it that way, so people don't preemptively, set up a strategy to have the edge over somebody else. Of course, home team advantage always comes into play, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So I couldn't tell you if it's going to be a phenomenal game, a horrible game, or anything like that. However, I enjoy all scenarios, so it doesn't matter to me. What really comes down to is the crowd that comes out. And I know that with everywhere I go. if everybody's a good group of people and they all get along, and you have low volume of cheaters, everybody's a blast anyway, regardless of what the team and game format comes out to being and all that. Because I mean, just like as we've seen with some of Dean's games with Mission Masters, you know, good refs and good scenario management are going to balance the game out if they see something's wrong. You know, ask people for volunteers to switch over to the other side. And usually you do get volunteers, so it makes it a lot easier and everybody's happy. So like I said, if we have a good crowd, we get a good showing of people, it's going to be a good time anyway, so it really doesn't matter how it really pans out.
Now, is that Jen from SAS that's running it?
Yes, I'm terrible with names, so that's
okay.
what it is. Yes.
Okay. I don't think she's ever done that before, as far as I know.
Correct.
So that'll be interesting.
Yes.
Good for her. That's awesome for her. Now, as far as size, let's assume we get the numbers that we tend to get at most Pittsburgh scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
It's a smaller field than Three Rivers.
It is.
So do you think that'll be an issue?
No, and the reason is because of how the real estate's laid out. When you look at how all this goes with P3 and the games that we've actually, before it changed ownership, we have our own scenario group, Smoldering Steel, and we held a scenario game out there. And even though the size was smaller than what I was prepared for plotting out and mapping with, how the terrain is designed actually lends to it. So basically, it disorients people, and because of how the tracks run, you feel like you've gone a long distance, but if you actually looked at the map, you're like, I only went that far, are you sure? Because it really felt like I did a lot more than that. And it really does. And people are like, no, there's no way that we were only 30 yards away from each other. There's so much foliage in some of these spots that you think you've gone so much distance, and all you've done is kind of like walk circles around each other.
Yep.
Now, granted, I do believe they opened up a little bit more of the terrain as well, so it's going to be larger than whenever we had our Smoldering Steel game.
Okay.
So we do have some other terrain that's going to be in play. It has an interesting mixture. If you go the long way around, you don't realize the gradient changing to a hillside, but if you were actually to look straight from the speedball arena towards quote-unquote Vietnam, it's like practically a cliff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, there is a steepness to everything, all that, and the brush and everything else just make it where it blends in really well that you can't tell that. And I think that's where it lends into, you feel like you did a longer distance because you're doing a Pittsburgh left turn where you're going far right all the way around in order to go where you need to go.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's true.
So that's pretty much how it's set up. If you're a person that likes dense foliage, you're going to find it. There are also some avenues and areas where it's got some lighter coverage. So you're going to have long shooting alleyways. There's also choke points and pathways that can lead into sneaking up on the enemy. You just have to be aware of your environment to even realize these. The castle has been reinforced. If anybody's ever been to this field before, the castle used to just be a really tall building with two wings next to it, and then on top of that it would have two little bunkers and some moguls in between. So it was a hard fight to get to it. And what they've done now is they introduced a lot of more to it. So they've reformed it, so now it's two stories on both sides. It has a left wing if you're facing out of the castle that opens up and goes towards the battlefield, and it's a little bit designed for CQB. In order to get to it, you have to navigate through a bunch of brush, vehicles, military equipment that's all anchored into the area, and then on top of that, they have chain link fence, so it's set up like an installation. So it makes for a great base. I'm sure my team's not going to get it. So.
Why are you sure of that?
Because I never am that lucky.
Okay. When will you know?
The day of.
Okay.
Yeah, so and that's fine.
That sucks for planning, that's for sure.
It sucks for planning, but I've been pretty good about pre-planning and also leading with on-the-fly orders and commands, and that's basically how this game's going to be. If nobody's aware of it yet, this is a continual play scenario. We're not going to have
no breaks.
Right, we're not going to have the 45 minutes and sit back and everything like some of the other games. Personally, I love those a lot more. I know, and I've met a lot of people who are like, well, I hate that because it doesn't let us catch our breath. We don't get to reorganize. I like it because that actually lends into the concept of what's called fog of war. As time progresses, things get a little more confusing, and so then you start losing track of certain sections, and things can happen. And that's basically what's going to go on with this. And because of how this field is in the environment, that's actually not a bad thing. And the reason I say that is because since it is a smaller real estate, giving that kind of uncertainty makes it for free-flowing combat, and so you're not going to have it where in the beginning you see that the one team is winning each mission, and so you kind of guess who's going to win. Now at this point it's all free flow, it's going to whip back and forth. You're probably going to at first go, these guys are going to win, don't worry about it, and then like by noon you're like, what's going on? Do we even know what our score is? Do they even know what their score is? And that makes it a little more exciting because now both sides are like, all right, we got to lay the pressure on. And so it actually, you get a little bit of momentum. So that's what I expect to see with it.
Now, one thing I said when you were on your way over, so for me, one personal downfall for them, or for the field, is it's not wooded per se. It's, I don't know if they're rhododendron bushes or what, but it's like they're basically tree-ish bushes. And I much prefer having an actual tree.
Yes. Your best way of describing it is Normandy, the hedgerows.
Yeah.
Because you can't go through them.
Right.
There's no way going through them, and it's so thick you really can't shoot through them.
Right.
You could literally have a regiment on one side and a regiment on the other, and they don't even know they're there,
Right.
and pass each other. And that's what I was explaining with this, because of how small the terrain is, it lends to that. It gives that fog of war aspect. It makes it harder for some things.
But you probably love that.
Yes and no. I'm not giving away details about how I operate, but I do like and hate it in a lot of ways. The one thing I can say, though, is for anybody that is showing up mag-fed and they are using first strikes kind of do a little better for that. They won't go all the way through the shrubbery, but you probably have a higher chance of hitting somebody through the brush as long as it's not super thick branches, as opposed to somebody that's using a round ball marker, which may actually have about 90% of the rounds explode right in the bush before one round gets through.
Right.
So that changes a little bit of dynamic for that. It's not a huge advantage, really. In fact, nobody wants to waste first strike shooting through a bush, so you're probably not going to see that, because I think it's like 45 cents a pop. Nobody wants to be blasting more than 10 rounds through a bush, because that's $4.50 gone right there.
Where was it? It was on the last page. It showed you what the first strike rounds were. For 250, it's $85 for 250 rounds of first strike. That is really expensive, because a case of round ball for 2,000 is $55.
Right. And interestingly, I'm actually surprised I saw them at 85, because if I remember correctly, it cost me like $90 to get a case. So hey, but you're right, it is more expensive per shot. However, the people that aren't familiar with first strikes, they're a lot more accurate. They have a lot more traveling distance. A lot of people go, well, if they're a lot more accurate and farther, they must travel faster and they're dangerous. They're not. They're just the same. They shoot the same pressure. They're just more aerodynamically formed for all that.
Right. Yeah, people don't understand that.
And
Alex says, though, that he wants to come to this event in future years. I don't think they're going to repeat it. What do you think? They'll probably have. I
can't guarantee that they'll have Reaper out. I think that's more of a kind of a arrangement.
He just happens to be in the area.
Right. So it's kind of like a band going on tour. We happen to have a scenario. He happened to be in the region. There you go. At least that's how I understand how it works. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying that they can't. I'm not saying that they won't. But I would never make a promise.
Right.
So.
They are allowing shields of some nature. I know that. So in answer to your question, yes, but I don't know what the limitations on that are.
I believe the rules for the shields was as long as there's rocket launchers involved on the teams, it's one shield per. I'm sorry, 3 shields per every rocket launcher, I think is what it is.
Okay.
So if my team has a rocket launcher, they get 3 shields. If they also have a rocket launcher, we get 3 shields.
But if there's no rocket launchers, no shields.
I think that's how it's going to be set up.
Okay. Because I don't know if you remember from D-Day, Eric built himself a riot shield. Pretty nice looking riot shield too, but he wasn't able to use it. But the ref used it for the landing, and it worked perfectly for the ref.
I saw that.
So if we can use it during the game, it'll be helpful.
Right. Yeah, and I've actually seen, when we did our Smoldering Steel game, I've actually seen some really good shield mechanics done through the guys that did bring it. Because the people that tend to bring their shields are on teams, and they've actually practiced with them. And a lot of these guys actually practice military and police style riot shield maneuvers.
Getting behind it and running up on people and all that.
It's
stuff.
impressive, even with just 2 shields paired up together, how much damage they can do on a squad or anything like that. And hence, that's why the rocket launchers, because the rocket launcher can take out all the shields at once if they're bunched together like that. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's where that balance comes in as well, because now the rocket launchers can't just be like out there cracking bunkers and all that. Now they gotta watch out for some shield squad running up on their side or something.
Right. So Alex, basically, the point is, come up next weekend and you can stay at my house.
That and bring the shield. Bring whatever equipment anybody wants to bring.
Well, he doesn't have a shield.
Oh, okay.
I don't think.
Okay. Well,
Eric
this is
had
for
a
everybody in general. So, like, if you have shields, don't be afraid to bring them. The worst thing they're going to say is, we don't have enough rocket launchers. If you have rocket launchers, bring them so we can have more shields.
There you go. So either way, bring all of your equipment, basically.
Well, pretty much, yeah.
But yeah, so back to the undergrowth and underbrush.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me personally, that's not really my... I don't prefer it. But that doesn't mean it's bad. I mean, I know plenty of people who do prefer that, and that's great for them, but just for me personally. And then the other downfall is saying for this particular field for me is that it used to be a landfill. It used to be a dump.
Right.
So there's been... I mean, I've only been there 2 or 3 times, but each time I find, like, a big piece of glass. That, like, if you fell on that...
Yeah. I'm not going to say that doesn't happen. When I first did our scenarios, I found it a lot more often than you talked about. So they've cleaned it up a good bit.
Yeah, I know they definitely have.
But you do always have that off chance of finding it. And even when we did Steeltown, Steeltown was like that.
Okay.
Because like back then, I remember we'd be going through and what is people go out there and shoot glass and all that. Like in the years before that got bought. So then at first we'd be finding tons of glass. I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I was crawling through a bush and I just found basically a punji trap of glass. And I was like, well, I'm glad it's in a bush that nobody's gonna be running through, but I'm the one that's crawling through it right now.
Yeah.
But that was Steeltown. But I was just using an example.
Right.
So, but I mean, they've been pretty good about policing it and patrolling it. Mostly, what I'm encountering is when if I do find anything out there at P3, it's either something that's really stuck in the trees and brush, or the rain was really heavy and it washed some stuff out. It's the only 2 times I really see it. It was really neat though. Something in the water brought up something that looked like a landmine. It wasn't a landmine, but it looked like a landmine. I was like, you gotta put this out there, just like use it for scenery in the castle area, because it looks like one of those World War II tank teller mines. I think it was capped to some kind of like bottling unit.
That would have been neat to just put out as a prop then.
Oh yeah, I found that, bro. I was like, you gotta set this up.
How many whiskey squad are gonna be there?
If you give me a second here, I might actually have an answer for you.
Do we know, or more so, do you know the commander that's against you?
I'm sorry?
Do you know Anthony is what she asked. Yes, he does. Yeah. I think that we would both know him if we saw him.
Bare minimum 6 whiskey.
Bare minimum 6 whiskey.
Yeah.
That's a good number.
Yeah.
I don't think I could get 6 of our team together at any point if I tried. If my life depended on it.
Yeah, these past 2 scenarios, we've had a good number on our guys being able to play. Usually it's...
I was real upset about Ron being there, because I was going to get a mug.
That's why we didn't get any mugs? Because they actually showed up?
Yeah, everybody showed up. Yeah.
Wow.
I called Ron's mug if he didn't show up. You're not that girl from high school every time I see him.
Because he knew you so well. So what we're talking about is, for the last scenario, that Paul General, which was last month?
Yeah. It was
late last month.
3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I still got weld stuff 2 weeks ago.
He had engraved, was it? Pewter mugs?
Well, I thought they were pewter mugs. They were actually spun steel mugs, so really hard stuff, so it cost extra to have them engraved.
So not pewter, not worth it.
Oh, thank you.
Loki, who let you back in?
I did. He was barking. Sit.
So, but yes, I had some mugs engraved for my team. Really nice. Actually, I forgot to grab mine so I could show up, but you can't even see the engraving on a webcam because of how fine the engraving is, but it's really neat looking. Wow, he cut me. Anyway,
He's got sharp claws. Sorry about that.
That's all right. I didn't even know. I just thought I was itching. But yeah, I had some mugs made for my team, mostly just to celebrate a big game and all that, and start building kind of a tradition for the team to get together once a year for a big game and celebrate. So now we have mugs to celebrate with. So I got some for the members that said that they were guaranteed to show up for the game. If you didn't say you're guaranteed, you weren't getting a mug. Yeah, you had to plan pretty far in advance to get these mugs all set up. So
maybe I should try that. As you can tell, officially today, which is August 8th, 2018, I've started gathering people for Ion 2019, which is July 12th.
I saw that.
Where have I started gathering? I recruited Paul today, or at least I attempted.
I tend to not do the next year until after December, but looks like we're already pre-planning next year, so I guess why not? I have to get you the numbers on guys that can, or at least are considering it, because the reason I don't do planning until after December is because I'm lucky if I can get these guys to plan a month ahead.
Well, if you can bring others, great, but I'm asking you. I'm not asking Whiskey Squad.
Okay.
I'm
cool. That'll give me
you.
an
We don't
opportunity to
care
run as
about
an
them.
operator.
We care about you.
Isn't that right? I get to run as an operator. I don't even get to wear my gear. I get to look like a special ops unit. Yeah.
If you want to bring Whiskey Squad, please do.
Okay.
But I'm asking you, not Whiskey Squad.
I see now. I thought this was asking your team as a whole.
No. If I was doing that, I mean, I would say, hey, what is Whiskey Squad doing? Not what are you doing? Loki, stop biting him. Stop it.
I know like 4 people consistently from Whiskey Squad. Maybe 4.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying.
Thinking somewhere some magical book says we have like over 25 people, but
Technically.
But
in reality,
I'm going to say active operating. We have about 8.
Yeah, well, I mean, theoretically there's 15 of us, but realistically there's about 5.
Yeah.
So
Which still is a good contingent.
Same way. Let's see what else is interesting, or what's going to happen for the game, because you don't know too much. They're not going to tell you till the day of.
Right.
So for me,
What's
as
the
a
point
player,
of this game?
to win, he doesn't know yet. But as a player, I think that's awesome that you don't know what's going on, and it's all random, and that's cool.
Right.
As a strategist or a commander, I would hate that. It would be terrible, because one of the big advantages for us for D-Day over Mission Masters, even though we love Mission Masters, and we prefer Mission Masters over 68 Caliber for the most part, the one big advantage of 68 Caliber is that you know what's going on beforehand, and we can actually strategize and think of a game plan.
Yeah.
Mission Masters, until they hand you that envelope, you have no
what's
idea.
going on.
Right. So that's, I don't know. Does that annoy you?
No. Of course, I have a history of strategy for a long time, so being able to pre-plan or shoot from the hip, I excel at it on both of those. So it doesn't faze me. What it really comes down to is you need to have a good structure of people to work with, and so that's why I asked y'all to be a command squad.
You asked her. I didn't get asked.
You two come as a package deal.
We could be separate. I could command one squad, and she could command another.
Well, I'm happy with that if you want to, because that means like
I wasn't asked, so no. I wasn't asked. Maybe if you asked me, I would think about it, but you didn't ask me.
But
Why are we a package deal? I assumed when you asked me, you meant the both of us, just because of how other people think.
Well,
How
also,
do
I mean,
other
when I
Other
look
people
at
apparently think that we're a package deal, and then if you ask me, you just come along.
yeah. But no, also I look at it this way: when you ask somebody from a team, usually there's a leader and subordinates, or at least they have to dictate who's a leader and subordinates, because they usually run the group anyway. So it's just I don't really sit there and say I need 4 of your people to be commanders, because they're like, well, we want to run together. So I just don't even ask anymore. I tried that before.
That makes sense. I can be with that.
But actually, that's something I would advise anybody that's going to be joining is on my team. Is if you want to be an officer, speak up whenever you show up. Look for me. I'm not going to look much different than this. I might be wearing more camo, but I'm going to be the only guy with a blazing red beard.
Best beer and a paintball.
Alex says that under law, we are a package deal. I'm not sure that's how that works.
Do we know if this is all day play, like D-Day or Ion, or
It's
is
continuous.
It
Continuous play. What time does it officially start?
If we're working on MagFed time,
Noon?
something-ish like that, yeah.
What's the official word?
The official time, I believe, is supposed to start at 10.
schedule's up there.
I'm
I
on
mean,
a-
like
I'm on
signing
registration.
in and logging on, of course, because like it starts at 8 usually. But I mean, game on is good. Probably officially start at 10.
Okay, and what can I win?
You know what? They discussed it when we had our last interview online, but they didn't give me an exact list of what they're going to win. I think there's still an ongoing list. I think there's supposed to be, and this is me speculating because I don't remember exactly everybody, so don't show up and be like, I'm going to win. And that asshole with the red beard said it was supposed to be here, so somebody owes me something. No. Basically what it's going to be is we're probably I think there's like a Tipex, and then I think there's a few other things that are going to be put together. I know that they had lined up a few masks. I don't know what type of masks, everybody. I'm sorry. I focus on what I need to get planned for my team and my agenda. I don't focus on what's going to be won. Because even if I win it, one of y'all is going to be lucky enough to have it, because I feel that new players should deserve that stuff, not me.
Right, that makes sense. I usually do the same thing.
Yeah, all I'm going to do is put it in a box. I'd rather somebody else that's going to use it and have fun with it. Have fun with it.
What about awards? Like, will they have awards like Mission Masters usually does and things like that?
That's what I understand. I've actually picked up the habit that I have my own Whiskey Squad awards I give out. Because in my experience in games, and it's not to say that the game planners are faulting on anything, it's just I feel like I want to give a lot more recognition than there are awards. And I hate making somebody go home that's actually worked their butt off with going, good job. I don't like doing that. I like to give them something to remember by, be it, even if it's a card or a placard or anything else. I like to give them something so they'd be like, I had this phenomenal time and I had this great story, and to back that story up, I have this.
I was noticed for something.
Right. I mean, like, that was actually what got me more into scenario games. This is the first scenario game I ever did was a 68 caliber. I showed up as a nobody because I had stopped playing for 20 years. Had random gear I had just gotten given for Christmas presents. So, like, I showed up in my old regalia with this new marker I wasn't familiar with and all that stuff. Went out there, played my heart out, did a spy mission that I volunteered for, killed their general, collected more resources than anybody else in the team apparently, and I just expected that that's all that would happen.
What is he doing?
He's chewing at my bag there.
He's
So-
chewing at his bat.
Okay.
So I just thought I was going to come out of it with, this guy did a great job, thank you, and that's it. And I actually ended up getting a placard, and actually I took a picture of it recently. They forgot to take the spy card away from me after I got shot, so I got to keep that too. Because you're supposed to relinquish it when you get shot, and
Okay.
They never asked for it, so I never gave it up, and that's also tagged along with it. So
Did
I
you
had
get
these
like
two souvenirs.
most valuable player?
I think it was like, most valuable player, and then I put the spy card next to it to prove that I was valuable because I was a spy.
I find those awards hard as a general.
To get
They
out?
are.
To
They
give
really
out.
are.
Because specifically for 68 caliber D-Day, I'm in that tent. I know who talks to me,
Right.
but other than that, somebody could be doing something.
Come on, babe.
He needs to
Come on.
enjoy the beer.
Yeah.
Game on the bone.
Yeah, all dogs like to chew on the beard.
You
for
could
some
be
reason.
doing something
And your
wonderful.
arm.
Yeah, all dogs chew on my arm for some reason too. I think it's because I'm bony.
You
Yeah.
could be doing something wonderful and something
Loki,
that
stop it.
helps us win,
Come on, babe.
but I'm not gonna know about it.
Right.
And if you're not a showboater about, hey, this is what I did, you need to know that I did this, then you may not get an award, and that's not necessarily fair if you did something wonderful, but
Right. And the trick I've found with that as well is you rely on your field officers for that. And like literally almost every game I always come up to all my field officers. Who's a badass out there? Can you point him out? What do you do? And then you get a briefing and understanding what they did as well to pretty much give us a quick synopsis.
Yep.
I always ask
A
you,
big
I asked
advantage,
you.
a big advantage of the local ones, like here in Pittsburgh, is that there are only 200 people there.
Yeah.
When we were at at Ion, and I feel this like every year, not necessarily me specifically, but like groups I'm with. I see the things that we do, like, wow, that was great. We should win something. But out of 2,000 people on your team, there are plenty of other people that did awesome stuff too, and the general doesn't necessarily know what we did.
Right.
You know, like this year
It's
specifically,
just too much information for them to
there's
process.
just too much, right? So like this year, the general, or the not the general, the XO told me, go take the FOB, was a forward operating base, and I'm not saying I took it alone. I certainly didn't, but I did lead the charge into it, and not only did we take it, we took more ground and took far ahead of that. And I was thinking, wow, okay, he asked me to do that, and I led the charge, and it happened. And we took not only that ground, but farther than that. I was like, we got to win something, and we weren't even mentioned.
Yeah.
Like, there's only 2 of us, but there were other teams of only 2 or 3 that were mentioned. And I'm just thinking, like, that sucks. But on the other hand, does he even know who I am? Even though he asked me specifically, there's 2,000 other people on this team. He doesn't know who I am.
Yeah, that's right.
You know?
And that's the rub to large games. You could do something that you and everybody around you feels is legendary, but there's so many people around, right? Who's seeing it for one, and then the other is it going to compare to the other legendary thing that may have happened around the same time by somebody else on your team? And let's just say, crazy like chance, the general does hear about both of those. Now he has to decide, which one am I going to let down?
That's true too.
And so it's really rough because, like I said, a lot of times you don't get enough awards for everything that's awesome that's out there.
Right. It's nice that you give your own. Then, how many do you typically out of Whiskey Squad do you give? Whiskey
5.
Squad awards. You get 5.
Yeah, 5, and then
Loki.
And then
Would you
sometimes what I'll try doing is if it's like a one-time event, some of the props that I actually fashion and bring to the game to help players understand what's going on and everything like that. If there's enough people left over at the end of the day and I have enough time to have speeches for things, I'll give away some of the props. One of the games I generaled out a while back, this is actually what gave me the idea. It was like a couple years back, I generaled that game, and I had a bunch of these field maps that Mission Masters had given me, and like I had so many duplicates left over. Now Dean went to the trouble of getting like this antique-looking paper for it, so it kind of looked like pirate maps to me. It wasn't a pirate-themed game, but it looked like it to me.
Right.
And I was thinking back to a movie I'd seen where they had all these burn marks in it to like simulate that it was like around cannon fire and the fuse sparks and all that burned through it. So I was taking my cigar and I'm just burning little traces along it to make it look like an old pirate map. And this kid walks by and he goes,
"Don't you do it."
And this kid walks by and he goes, "That looks awesome." And I was like, "Oh, I'm just kind of messing around." He was like, "Can I have that?" "Yes, you can." And he loved it. He shared it with everybody. He's like, "Look what I got." And that was pretty much like his bonus award for the day for being there and being on the team.
Cool.
So, and then I had another kid that saw that and he was like, "Can I do what you did?" "Oh, I don't have like a license over this." "Sure." You know.
Of course you can.
You can make as many as you want. And he actually sent me pictures of the ones he made, and the ones he made actually looked better than what I did. He put some like effort in. He researched how you weather paper to make it look like it's like really antiqued and stuff, and he did all the work on it. But it gave me that inspiration, and for the past 2 years I've been trying to formulate putting all that together. Team funds didn't allow it. I benefited from getting a better job, so now I can just be like, I want to make people, have recognition and feel good about themselves. So I just, out of my own pocket, I get it.
Do you have like 5 as in you give 1 to most valuable player, you give 1 to like awesomest child, or do you just give 5 things?
They're not designated per like as like you're talking about like best, greatest child that's playing out or anything like that. They actually have a little bit of a vague titlement to them, but they also indicate what a person has done. So I'm just throwing these out there because I create them on the fly, so I don't have a set template. So valor, bravery, things like that. I'll put together awards for those, and then based off of what somebody's gone through or they've done, they get one. Example with the last game, I had one for I think it was either perseverance or bravery. The kid was actually out there. He had the misfortune of tripping, and I think he either sprained or broke his wrist. So he missed out for most of the day of the game. He just had to sit out, and honestly, he was as calm as could be for having done that to his arm and all that. Because most people are like, "I hate this," and he's just sitting there. He's just casually talking. I'm like, "Why don't you?" He's like, And I was like, oh, because it swelled up like a grapefruit. It was, it did not make me pleasant to watch, that arm. And I was like, this guy went out there, did what he was asked, got injured for it, and is missing out, and he's as calm as can be about it. This guy's getting a bravery award because, I mean, yeah, you gotta. But yeah, I mean, I base it off of, you know, things I see or hear about, you know, what's going on. Luckily, in this last game, we actually had the luxury of my original CO for the team being there, and he wanted to actually take the role of leadership, and I just be the field figurehead, which means, cool, I'm the general that doesn't do anything except for shoot people. I don't get that often, everybody. Usually I come there, I get a case of paint, and I shoot 10 rounds to make sure my gun works, and then that's as much paint as I've shot for the day.
Yeah.
So.
An hour of play is what Paul does, and then he's
yeah.
over.
And actually, I felt really atrophied in my skills when I was out there. I was like, man, I know I can do better than this, but I haven't shot people in 3 years. You know. So I was out there, and it was actually kind of fun because I got to play again, which was neat. But at the same time, I got to observe a lot of things that was going out there, and I actually was able to peg 2 people that I watched out in the field for awards. Because the luxury I got with that as well is because my team was doing so well in actually managing the lines, despite us losing, they did a great job of managing the lines. I could actually walk around as commander, check on positions, see what's going on, and actually, you know, basically make assessments of all my players and see how they're holding up.
That's much the way that A-Dog and I operate when she generals.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to not play. I want to be out there playing.
Yeah.
And that's partly why we work well as her general and me XO, so that she can do what needs to be done, and I can be out there actually shooting people.
Yeah. Every good general needs a right hand man.
But also lead on the field too. You know, I'm a big proponent of you can't lead from behind.
Exactly.
That's why I decided to general 68 caliber, because you wanted to do it, but you wanted to play. You didn't want to be in that tent. I was like, I'll be in that tent.
And then how it works out.
But it actually is a great dynamic when you do it that way, just like you described, because you are the voice of the general and the eyes and ears of the general at the same time out there. So you're the general while the general can't be there.
Right. So it's nice to hear that you can do that sometimes too. Well, at least you did last time.
Yeah.
But Alex says that, so in regards to what I was saying about taking the FOB, he had done something very similar on the beach at Ion. Made a huge push with a bunch of other people. But apparently he had a huge splat of paint on his camera, so I can't actually use the footage. I was really excited to see that too, because I didn't see what he did, but I do know before he went out there, they owned the whole beach, and after he came back, we owned the whole beach. So
to lend to your experience, I had a similar thing. We played a couple years back. There was an Enemy at the Gates game, so I was on the Russian side. I came out dressed as a cop, but I ended up being Russian. And near the end of the game, we had to run down this hill towards Cardiac Hill. So we run down this huge hill and then run back up. And everybody was like, maybe I was the general, maybe not, I don't remember anymore. But anyway, so we had to make this charge. Somebody said, we need to rush him because there's no other way we're going to handle this. And so I grabbed the Russian flag, and it was picturesque of a movie. I'm running through, I got the flags flying behind me and all that, and the whole line rushes down. And it's beautiful, like, I could tell just from what I was doing, it was beautiful, because I led this charge, you had this flag waving this Russian charge, everybody's following suit, beautiful. Dean comes to me, like, right after the charge, because I got shot, he goes, dude, that was beautiful, I had my camera and everything, like, oh, he caught it, he was like, and the battery died right when you started. And I was like, alright then.
Nice.
And I never even got recognition for that other than him going, the camera died, but that was a good job.
That happens, unfortunately.
Stay.
I've had more than one occasion where I've like, yeah, I did really good that game or for that mission or whatever, and sure enough, my camera's off or just dirty or whatever else. So I feel your pain. I feel your pain.
It happens to the best of us. Happens to the worst of us. You know what? It's all right. We all have that memory, and that's the best thing because we can still tell the story.
Loki, quiet. What is your beef, Chief?
He says nobody's wanting to love on me. Everybody keeps on talking to his camera.
Stupid cameras. Well, we've been on here for over an hour at this point anyway, so we are going to be closing down. Would you
Whispering
stop?
sweet nothings to me.
Stop doing what you're doing, okay? Stop being bad. say hello to everybody. Say hello. No, the camera's over there. Oh, over there.
He's like, there's a doorknob over there.
Hi, baby. Okay, get down. No, not jump on Paul. Get down. Any
Sit.
closing
Sit.
thoughts about Reaper's Siege coming up?
Well, you're looking at 2 heavy-duty generals, so expect orders when you go out there.
He
Expect
considers
action
himself heavy.
Well, they expect
He's
a lot
a
out of the
petite
players. We do.
Loki, stop
Both he and I expect a lot of our team. We're not going to be those jerks that yell at you and scream at you, but we really do ask that you listen to what we're trying to convey, because there are things that we're trying to help you understand about what's going on there. So, like I said, it's kind of a big chess game. We're both going to be playing chess against each other on the field, and we need to move the pieces appropriately. So that's why we want to convey those, because we know where our gaps are going to be and we want to cover them. So that way y'all don't get shot in the back. But no, it's gonna be exciting. I'm not gonna say that it's gonna be a paint fest unless y'all want to make it a paint fest. But there are gonna be some good firefights. I know that, especially with how I've seen them operate and everything like that. So we're gonna see some serious engagements, especially if it's a priority objective and it has a time frame to it. Yeah, you're gonna see some serious firefights and some expect sniping as well if there's first strikes, everybody.
Which there are allowed, and I guarantee you some Whiskey Squad will be using them. So I assume some other team will be using them too.
Yeah.
But so everybody knows, Paul's interview is coming out tomorrow. That's a complete coincidence. I did not plan it. He didn't film it just now. He's not going to after this. I actually edited it this afternoon. But yeah, so you'll be able to learn about Paul, what his history is tomorrow. It comes out. So look forward to that. And
You're the man behind the beard.
The man behind the beard.
Less beard in that one, actually.
But you had the twirl. You had more twirl going on for that video.
Did I?
Yeah. You had some good twirl going on for that one.
The day has gone on. It's relaxed since I've been twisting it today.
I do still have to do yours, Alex. Absolutely. No question about that. Hey, Gavs, you joined us just as we're about saying goodbye.
If any of you do have questions, you can actually look up my Facebook name. It should be Poltergeist. If you do search for Whiskey Squad Poltergeist.
There you go, Whiskey Squad Poltergeist. That's his Facebook. I encourage you to go friend him and follow him. They go to a lot of scenarios and things, so if you're in the Pittsburgh area, look him up, and you probably already know him if you're in the Pittsburgh area. But anyway,
You can't miss that red beard.
The point is, his interview comes out tomorrow. You'll get to learn a little bit about his background, and then he is generaling the bad guys next weekend at Reaper Siege here in Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh Paintball Park. So everyone have a good night, and we'll see you later.